I was in my 8th grade, and that was the first time I got introduced to markets by my father. So he was going through CNBC, and that's when I saw these stock tickers bottom of the screen move, and that actually built up the curiosity. So what are these? So why are they moving? Very crude idea, thinking that I can make 1% every single day. So this is how I first got into swing trading, or trading, buying stocks and trying to capture 1%, 2%. If you're trading regularly, you don't want this on a day-to-day basis, right? So it doesn't make you so you don't want that high or you don't want that low. You want something consistent
neutral.
Neutral. Look at my journey from 2013 till 17. I was not a profitable trader. So there is at least I would say minimum of 10 to 15 times where I have blown up my account. I put 20,000, lose the entire 20,000. So 3 months later I come back and I put another 15,000, lose the entire 15,000. I trade with a personal capital of 2 CR right now, and
Can you mention your age again? 26, no?
26.
Marie Forleo has once said, success doesn't come from what you do occasionally. It comes from what you do consistently. Welcome to Market Heroes. Today we have an hero with us. His name is Saket Ramakrishna. Welcome to our show.
Thank you so much, Aditya.
How are you today?
I'm doing great, and thank you so much for having me on your show.
Same here also. So I know you're in a very young age and you have reached a long growth. So like, how was your story?
Story started on a quite sober note, to be honest. So like, I was a student when I actually got into markets. So I was in my 8th grade, and that was the first time I got introduced to markets by my father.
By your 8th grade?
Yeah, 8th grade.
Okay, that is like a 15-year-old?
Yes, almost, around 15-year-old, exactly. And so that's when I saw my father actually, he was an investor, he's still an investor, right? So he was going through CNBC, and that's when I saw these stock tickers bottom of the screen move, and that actually built up the curiosity. So what are these? So why are they moving? So this is how I actually got into markets. So then, so when I asked him, okay, what do you do and all of that, so eventually over time I learned that, okay, he's making somewhere around 15-20% by investing.
Okay, your father was your biggest supporter in initial age.
Right. So then I was like, these stocks are moving 1.5-2% every day, and he's telling that he is making 15% in a whole year. So if he is able to capture 1% every day, he should be making 250-300%. So this was my very crude idea, like
right? During your childhood, I believe.
Yes. So, but in reality, you know that none of this is going to happen. So it was a very crude idea, thinking that I can make 1% every single day. So this is how I first got into swing trading, or trading, buying stocks and trying to capture 1%, 2%.
Okay, so I can easily guess you must have gone through a lot of struggles, because you have started your journey during your childhood, that is in the age of 15. So how did that go?
See, I wouldn't call it struggle, but I would say it was more or less a very emotional journey. Emotional journey in the sense, like, see, let's say when you make a good profit. So I used to trade with a very small capital because you had leverage. So even if you had got a capital of 10,000 rupees, so they used to offer as much as 50 times, 100 times leverage for intraday. So back in those days. Right. So so what does that actually mean is, even if you have 10,000 rupees, you can literally trade as much as 10 lakh with 100x leverage, or something like 5 lakh with 50x leverage. Right. So let's say you want to trade equities intraday. So you had 5 lakh capital just with 10,000 rupees in the trading account. Right. So what this also did is, you used to have a very big up-down swing in your M2Ms or your P&L. Right. So this was quite an emotional journey, because whenever you put 10,000, take out 5,000, you used to be very happy that day. That too, considering that I was a student. So 5,000 in hands of, say, somebody studying 9th or 10th grade. So it's a
You're
pretty
talking about 9th and 10th. That is surprising.
And also, when you take a look at the other side, losing something like 10,000, you put 10,000, you lose it all in a single day. Even that also is quite a emotional journey, because that night you will be like, "Ayo, why did I do this?
should haven't, and all those negative. How did your emotions take over you? Has it take over you, or has it
Yes,
kept going in?
even today, so no matter how professional a trader gets, even today there is somewhere or the other you let the emotions take over you. So, so now it does not happen occasionally, very rare cases versus compared to how much it used to happen before. So every day you were taken through an emotional ride. So some nights you go to sleep very happily thinking about good profits.
Okay.
Some nights you don't even get sleep because you'll be regretting every single mistake you do. Right? So nowadays, so eventually you will come to a point where if you're trading regularly, you don't want this on a day-to-day basis, right? So it doesn't
Okay.
make you so you don't want that high or you don't want that low. You want something consistent
Neutral.
or
Okay.
neutral. So that's when you mostly two things will happen. One, you will stop aiming for very high profits. Like you don't want 1% a day, rather you want consistently 0.1% a day, right?
Okay.
So also you will stop. So you will start to focus more on risk. So you are okay with the high days, but you don't want those low days anymore, right? So you will start focusing on having proper risk management. You will start focusing on making sure that you don't lose more than 1.5% a day. So now let's say you have a capital of 1 lakh.
Okay.
And I take away 500 rupees.
Okay.
So still without being emotionally affected, you can go and sleep, come back
Yeah,
tomorrow and take
it
another.
won't affect much.
Right.
Yeah.
So that way, keeping things small. So as you rightly mentioned in the very first sentence, right?
Okay.
It is about doing things consistently.
Okay.
To do anything consistently for years, so you need to make sure that you have to stay in the game. So market shouldn't throw you out the next day, or you have to be in the game for a long time to do anything consistently. And the only way you can be there or be in the process is to make sure that you are not, like, it is not taking a toll on your health, maybe like mental health or the physical health, by giving you emotional swings every single day.
So has it taken, like you just mentioned, like taking 500 from 1 lakh is not a big issue.
Yes.
What about taking 90,000 from 1 lakh? Has
Yeah, that has happened multiple times. So if
Multiple
you,
times, okay.
multiple times. So if you take a look at my journey from 2013 till 17, I was not a profitable trader. So
Okay.
there is at least I would say minimum of 10 to 15 times where I have blown up my account. So what do I mean by
my
blown up my account? I put 20,000, lose the entire 20,000.
Okay.
So 3 months later I come back and I put another 15,000, lose the entire 15,000.
How
So
many times have you blown it up?
as I told, at least 10 times, minimum of 10 times, or maybe even if I say 12 to 15, don't think I would be exaggerating with that,
Okay.
right? So multiple times this has happened. So this is, it all comes down to the game of numbers, right? So like, let's say I lose 0.5%, tomorrow I have to recover 0.5%. But if I lose 50%, tomorrow I have to recover 100%.
Okay, that
Right.
was your main goal.
Yeah, like my goal was to make obviously like much
More.
more money, and in this process I was also giving up a lot of money. And later, once your capital starts depleting, it's almost impossible to go back and recover all of it.
So it was a up and down journey.
Yes.
And when was your break-even point? You mentioned 5 years after you started
Yes.
your journey.
Yes. So break even also didn't start, like, in the sense 2017 was the first time when I actually started to see some kind of profit, right? So till then, if you take a look at my P&L records, so it was a consistent loss. Any quarter P&L, you just remove a quarter P&L, you would see a red there. So it was
Okay.
never a green. So 2017 is when I started getting into option selling, and that is thanks to Zerodha Varsity. So again, because back then I didn't even know fundamentals of options, something like what is an intrinsic value. Simply, okay, market is going up, buy a call option, market is coming down, buy a put option. So from swing trading, why I like moved into option is again because of greed. Like options move 20% a day, stock moves 2% a day, right? So like our options sometimes even move 200% a day, right? So it looked more attractive. I came there, lost money very nicely, and finally in 17, after reading through Zerodha Varsity, I realized that okay, selling has more probability of making money, and then I got into selling. And slowly and steadily, that's when I slowly started to see profitability.
Okay, so you started your journey back in your childhood. So
Yes.
who was your first investor? Who gave your first pocket money, or who supported you in your
So
journey?
the support obviously came from my father. So
Okay.
like in spite of me losing consistently. So he knew that I was putting into the markets, I was losing money. So
Did he have that hope to trust on you because you were just 15?
So one thing is that at least since I was at least reading different things, trying to improve,
Okay.
trying to do something, and every time I lose money, I used to do some other research and go tell, okay, this time I have done this, I will try out, and again it used to fail. So then eventually you realize that you didn't have to do anything fancy. Just by keeping things simple, you would have made money.
So like, how was your, how did your parents take your, down stories? They must have seen it losing a lot of money in the market.
Yeah, like my father has seen, to be honest, like since we are not from a business family.
Okay.
So my father is a CA and my mother is a teacher. So like in our family, education is very important. Like you have to study well, read well, go get a job. So that is what is given more prominence. Right. So like my mom obviously didn't know the down story till I started making profit. So only once I started making profit, I actually told her I was also making a loss.
Okay.
Right. So
How did your mother react to it?
not really, because later it didn't affect much. You know that you have actually not lost money.
You have gained so much.
No, once you have got back that whatever you have lost, now you know that you haven't lost money, so not.
She's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, like my father was aware of it, but he was into markets for some time, and he also knew the ups and downs in the market. He knew for a
Okay.
fact that there is no consistent upside in the market. So that way, he was quite supportive.
So your father was your initial investor and your
Yes,
supporter.
yes.
So what is your maximum gain have you like earned from this trading?
So from trading, if you take a look at it, there are many days where, so mostly these are pre-2020, I would say. So any max gain or max loss that we have seen is, in terms of percentage, is before 2020.
Okay.
So there are days when we have made 30-40% profit. There
Okay.
are on the capital. So when I say on the capital, not on a small capital like 20-30,000, but I'm talking about pretty big capital, like something like 30-40 lakh. So
Okay.
making like 20-30% is like 12 lakh a day when you have.
Oh my God.
Right. So there are also days when you have lost big, like 30% on a
Okay.
big capital. So all this happened pre-2020, but post COVID crash. So COVID was one time when we took a very, very big hit. So
Oh.
post that, we started mellowing down our trades. So we haven't seen such big swings.
How did COVID affect you?
COVID affected us in multiple ways. One, we had the biggest. So before COVID, what had happened is we had a fantastic ride. So we were
Okay.
selling FAR OTM options, making very nice money.
Okay.
Right. So post COVID, so during COVID, so there was a huge crash in the market, which I personally hadn't experienced in 7 years. So I came into
Yeah.
markets 2013. So I had never seen markets fall more than 5%, 6%. So the worst fall I had seen was during demonetization when the markets had come down 5%.
Okay.
So post that, I had never seen a big crash in the market as such. So in my opinion, okay, markets don't fall 10%. I have never seen them fall 10%. So what I did was I went and started. So there was this one expiry day in Bank Nifty. I went and started shorting FAR OTM put options. So when I say FAR OTM, as much as 10% away, I started shorting put options very aggressively, thinking that markets don't fall 10%.
Okay.
So that was an unlucky day for me. The market started coming down, and it came down so much that it actually ended up falling almost around 13.5%. Right?
Okay.
So my expectation was it cannot fall more than 10%.
10, okay.
So there was also this thing which I realized. So everybody had told me 10% market will hit a circuit breaker, trading will stop. So I was like, okay, even if it hits 10%, so my
You didn't lose your hope.
I didn't lose hope. I like circuit breaker will come, market will stop trading.
Okay.
But nobody told me that circuit breaker only comes to Nifty, not to Bank Nifty.
Oh my God.
So back then, Nifty that day was only down by 8.5%, but Bank Nifty was down 12%, but no circuit breakers were triggered.
Done.
Yeah,
Done,
so
vanished.
it was still going down, going down. So the option which I started shorting around 80 rupees, I got to cover them at 480 rupees, and that was the biggest loss.
That's like 400-500 times maybe.
Yeah, almost 5 times higher.
Oh my god.
Right, and that was the biggest loss, where whatever we had made through, let's say, the previous 9 months to 1 year, everything got wiped out in one day. One single day, whole thing got wiped.
Okay.
And to get back, it is even harder because one, you have lesser capital. Two, you will be totally out of confidence, right? So you can't come to the market and trade the same way. You will be so low on
Drained,
confidence.
emotionally drained, yeah.
Emotionally totally drained out. And then it took quite some time to recover, but luckily we were able to do it because of leverage. And during COVID, the premiums were extremely high. Like when I say high, so you could literally go 2000 points away and still get 30 rupees, 40 rupees on an expiry day. So which is something unheard of today. Right. So that was something which was helping us with leverage and this put together. So we were able to get back, but this still took us around 13-14 weeks to get back what we lost on a single day.
Okay, so that's how you came back all through your struggle.
Yeah, so post that, so that is the time when we decided, okay, like no need to gain big. So there is no point in losing what you make in a single day. So what you make in a whole year, you lose it in a single day and take 6 more months to get back. So we started focusing on consistency, make 1.5-2% a month consistently, and that's when we started seeing a huge influx of capital also. So people didn't want volatile returns. Nobody cared if you gave them 100% volatile return. So they really cared if you can give them 1.5-2% consistent returns.
Okay, so can you number how much you're gaining right now in 2024?
Right now, again, we are planning. So our goal is to get somewhere around 30% through investing plus trading. So the boon for any trader is that you can trade on margin money. You put equities, you pledge them and trade. So our idea is, from investing, we want to gain somewhere around 10-12%. By trading, we want to gain around 18-20%.
A day?
No, a year.
A year. Okay.
So that way, a year we want to make somewhere around total of 30%.
Okay.
So this puts us in a very good place that we don't have a constant pressure to deliver. So 1.5% a month is something which is reasonably achievable with options. So I feel that it should be reasonably achievable. Otherwise, for the risk you take with options, it is not worth doing. So you can rather put it in some good mutual fund and keep it. So if you are coming into option trading full time, so there's always a opportunity cost, right? So you have to give up something to come. Right? So if you're doing that, at least something like 18-20% should be achievable. Otherwise, you're better off putting in some mutual fund where it can give you around 25% doing.
Okay, so how much are you earning right now through this?
So we, again, as I told you, 2-2.5%. So
what is the exact number? I'm too curious to know about
it.
Okay,
so on a personal capital level, I trade with a personal capital of 2 CR right now. And so when we started...
Can you mention your age again? 26, no?
26. So then when we started trading, so we had a partnership firm called as Optionables. So in Optionables, we were managing close to around 10 CR, 8 CR by the time 2023. So 2023, we dissolved Optionables. So after that, we do manage for few partners personally, and we also do manage for some corporates. So all put together, we are managing a considerable sum.
In your age, 26 years, you're managing a lot of things. It's really surprising.
Not really, as I told you, so option is such a game where most of the people end up losing money. So if you are able to give consistent returns, so the money is, so there is a lot of money out there. So what we are doing right now, so even though from 2023 to 24, the amounts might have increased 5x, 8x for us, right? So it's still considered to be peanut in the market. It's nothing, right? Very small amount. So there is a huge money in the market, and in finance world, you just need 2 things: trust and consistency. So one, you have to deliver quality service so that people trust you, and you have to maintain the trust. So one very simple thing with where people fail is once they are making profit, they do everything, but once they start to make loss, they start to avoid, they don't pick calls, they don't lose. So you build the trust with the investors, so they are going to support you through.
So have you lost any friends or any family or anyone through your journey?
No, actually none. I have made quite a lot.
You have made quite a
Yeah.
lot. Okay. So like, what is that one advice you would like to give that young traders out there? So how to focus in it? Give your mantras out.
So, okay, there are a couple of things. One, you would need support from others
Okay.
if you are starting with nothing, right? So it's almost impossible for you alone. Let's say you have a family, right? So unless you come from a very wealthy family, it's almost impossible for you to amass a huge sum of wealth, right? So if you're from a business family, maybe you can directly start off with a big
Yeah.
capital. So you need to gain trust of people. To gain trust of people, you have to be transparent, and integrity is the main part in finance, right?
Okay.
So the more you are transparent and the more you build on integrity. So what do I mean by integrity? It's as simple as, see, it's very simple to attract people by showing that, okay, I'm making so much profit. So I post things when I'm like having a good profit. So I tell, oh, today I made this much, today I made this much, right? So that will bring people, but it won't
Okay.
make them stay with you, right? Because you have only shown them half the picture.
That
You
will
haven't
make them
shown
curious.
yeah, you haven't shown the other side. They might look at one side and come to you, but they might pretty well leave you soon. So from the beginning, what we have tried to do is not really try to paint a pretty picture of market, pretty picture of trading. So wherever we go, we tell that it is not an easy job. It takes a lot of emotional toll, and people who are coming also should be ready for a volatile journey. So it's not a smooth journey. So we make sure that we talk more about our losses. So whenever we make, so we don't go putting out huge profits, but we make sure that we go put out huge losses, because people should know what they are getting into. And people who have come to us till now are, so to be honest, so people who we like the whom we have partnered with. So almost maybe I can say more than 99%, in spite of being in any kind of drawdown, in spite of losing money for say 6 to 8 months period, haven't left us, because they have come with an expectation which we are able to match, and they know what they are getting in for. Maybe if I had portrayed it differently, with the total aim could have maybe gone up another 10x. But that is not what is more important. More important is to maintain, as you said, consistency.
So have you set up any goal for yourself? Like in 5 years you want this much, or you will be like this, a big trader, or do you have a goal particular in your mind?
So actually, to be honest, when I started trading, my goal was to make 1 lakh consistently over
Okay.
some time, right? So the thing is, what I really learned is, in case if you start doing something very well, doing something like, again, I am coming back to the word
Childhood, okay.
consistency again. So if you will be able to achieve your goal much beforehand and much at a bigger scale, but you have to be there doing that for quite some time. So it is not a linear return, so that you're doing, you're getting, right? It's more like an exponential return. So you don't know when it is going to take off, right? So you will be mostly flat and this thing. So one time you are going to get where it is just going to take off, right?
Okay.
So, but while it is not taking off, right? So the efforts you're putting, for example, I will tell you. So our optionables channel became a big hit, right? So we had around 400k subscribers on the optionables channel.
Okay.
So this hit actually came somewhere around 2021. Okay, so 2021 it started booming.
Okay.
So not many people know about this. From 2014, I was writing a blog on stock market. Every single day I used to update it. Hardly it used to have 5 to 10 readers. Nobody really saw, like literally no traction. Then
Okay.
even in optionables, from 2019 we were making videos. Nobody really saw. Hardly 10 views, 50 views, 20 views, right? So only during 2021 some video became viral and it picked up. So till then everything looked such waste of time. Like you are putting in so much time you're putting in efforts, nothing is clicking, right? So, and when I say this, if you can go back to my blog from 2014 to almost around 18, there is not a single day I have missed. Wherever I am, I made sure that I updated the blog.
Okay.
Right? So it doesn't come like overnight. That's I start doing today, tomorrow this thing starts to pick up. So you don't know when it is going to pick up. So you have to just be consistent. So maybe I say like whatever I did. So like whatever it just came in a very short span of time, but
Okay.
it was in a like it took. So once your popularity on social media grows, you will also start getting a lot of investments and all of that. But before that, there was a lot of this thing like which we did before getting where we were.
Okay, so what would you have been if not a trader?
I actually don't imagine okay, so there was this time in school, while I was in school,
Okay.
I was pretty fascinated with coding also, not just trading, but also coding. So I used to code these small games with Visual Basic and all of that.
Okay.
So I was in a dilemma whether to get into computer science or commerce, but I chose commerce over computer science. So maybe if I was never introduced to trading, so there are two things I would have done. Either I would have become a CA or I would have got into coding. So why CA is because like
You're good with numbers?
no, yeah, I was good at numbers, and my father was also a CA, and
Okay.
since I was very good at arithmetic and all of that, so everybody in my house like told me, oh, you're very good at numbers, become a CA. So in my mind it was sort of fixed that okay, next I'll become a CA. But till eighth grade, I found out that finance is not just about CA. Finance is not just about BCom or like this.
Yeah.
So it has a much broader aspect to it. So either one of that mostly.
CA or
Yeah. So when I started journey, right? So I approached so many people who were trading and investing. Wherever I went, everybody was like, "Oh, you're too young, don't get into trading." But they themselves were traders, right? So they themselves were investors. I was thinking these people are such hypocrites. So they themselves are traders. They themselves have been doing from so long. But when I want to come in, they tell you don't come in at such an age. So I was thinking, like, how is it possible that they themselves are doing it full time, and when I want to do it, they're telling no. Right? So eventually, now if somebody comes and asks me, I would give them the same advice. The things have changed so much from the place where I can literally see so many people like me today come and ask that I want to trade. But I want to tell them don't trade because the reality of the trading is very dark. Zerodha Varsity, so it is an understatement to say it was like a real educator for Indian traders because previous to that you never even knew how an option contract worked. Right? So there was nobody talking about it.
Yeah.
Right? So that way Varsity is a real good educator for Indian markets. I do remember which stock I bought first. I had
Okay.
bought Reliance, so that was the first
Okay.
stock which I bought. Like I studied
Okay.
in Christ College.
Okay.
So in Christ College you could carry phone. So prior to that even phones weren't allowed. Right. So once I got into Christ, I used to take regular, like often I used to go for washroom breaks just to see the markets.